Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And this episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Briana Hetherington. Hi, Briana.
Well, hello, and thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. I'm so excited to have you. And I'm going to start with your bio because it's amazing. So people will know who we're talking to today.
Awesome. Well, I'll share a little bit about me. I'm Briana Hetherington. I am CEO and founder of Altruistic Advisory, which we're going to dive into what that's all about. In addition to that, I'm also co-owner of Finish Line Strategies. And in addition to that, I have another company called Within Me, which is a life coaching, and I write children's books to really talk about the mindset and how we speak to ourselves and how important that is.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. All right. So let's start with Altruistic Advisors. So how did you start that company?
Yeah, that's a great question. Looking back, I was just in the hustle and bustle, working 80, 90 hours a week, just building brands, leading marketing departments, and helping scaling multi-million-dollar companies. But I was frankly burnt out, to be honest. I had success on paper, but I felt really disconnected from myself and who I was. So I began to study and get certified in life coaching, energy work, and human behavior. And when we combine all of that, everything that I knew about business growth and the human being behind it, that's how Altruistic Advisory was born. Combining that business knowledge along with, the person and the human being behind the business.
Yeah. So you work with many contractors in the home improvement arena.
Yes, I do.
What are some of the limiting beliefs that entrepreneurs in that area have?
I need more leads. These leads suck. This isn't my type of customer. I mean, the limiting beliefs that I see are all over the map, especially when it comes to I need to grow and I want to grow in volume. Well, you can keep growing in volume, but if you're making nothing to the bottom line, you're not going to have a good business and you're not going to make any money. So really, when we dive into limiting beliefs, they're limitless. And I think it all starts up here. And all of us have 60,000 thoughts a day. And those thoughts create those feelings within us. So those feelings produce chemicals. And so often I see the mindset of these leads suck, or I can't get enough leads, or I can't find the right people. And when we're thinking in this scarcity mindset, we're producing the stress hormone known as cortisol, right? And then on the flip side, I have other clients that are like, oh my gosh, I have the most incredible team. I'm so grateful for my beautiful and hardworking team. They are just limitless. Okay, this is that abundant mindset. So the more we practice gratitude, the more we release the chemicals oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. So we take that a step further, and that's where those belief systems are stemming from. That's where those limiting beliefs are really coming from. So I like to understand the visionary and their leadership's mindset. What are those thoughts that you're having? And I can't read
But you
your
know what?
mind.
This is a great example of being a leader and leading to the right culture. So what are some, I know we all like to have our core values in place, right? So, and I know you work with many companies. What are the best core values that are not tried or we heard them so many times before? Give us some examples of some core values that really resonated with you.
I'm actually going to give you, I just was out at a client's office in Grand Rapids, in Michigan, and we actually just went through some of their core values, and I was blown away by these core values. So they have sharks all over their office, and their core values are in the acronym of SHARK. So I'm going to share with you. Number one is self-improvement, because we all should be striving to get 1% better each day. The second one is human, and we own it. So we are all human beings. We all come from different walks of life, but we need to own our role and take accountability for our role in the organization. The third one is action. So you see it all the time. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. But there's no action. We need action. So to me, I just love these. And I love how they made it in an acronym, because I think that's really, really helpful for people to digest it and not just have it sitting on the wall, right? We're living these values. So their fourth one was respect, which I just think is a non-negotiable, right? The lowest level of acceptable behavior, as Brian Gottlieb says, is really what your company culture is going to be defined by. So, and the fifth one is keeping commitments, really having that accountability culture and caring. Like, I committed to this. I need to follow through on my word, and being impeccable with your words is one that I've seen. Continuous learning. So I think, it's really what deeply resonates with you. I have another client that they set up their core values as an acronym for BEST. So their first one is be a solutionist, which I absolutely love. So I think that there's so many out there, and you could see a lot of generic ones, but you can see the companies that really go deep and make that decision on their core values together, and how that impacts it, because it's coming from who they authentically are as a collective energy. And it's not just made up, oh, I just wanted to create a couple. Let's just
Everyone
pick.
integrity. Of course you have integrity.
Yes, right,
I mean, if you don't have
right.
integrity, you shouldn't be in business, so I don't know if you need to actually say that. That's very good. Now, what advice would you give to our listeners? Let's say they have their core values, they're putting together the core values, to actually have them implemented, to make sure that everyone in the company actually living those core values.
Yeah, I believe we should hire and fire by those core values. Okay. So the other thing that I'd recommend with core values is, how can we shout it out? If we seen Timmy really working on improving himself this past week, I want to call it out. Give him some recognition, award him, and really begin to use these words every single day in your organization. When you go to an organization that has alignment, they're speaking about their values in everything that they do, every thought they have, every belief they have, and every behavior.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. And the recognition is so important, because some have the tendency to just, point out what's wrong or when it's wrong, but having the recognition is very important. I actually just did a seminar on that. I was talking obviously about processes and procedures, but the number one question comes up is, how do we make sure the processes are followed by all? And I said, well, recognition. So those people that are actually follow the processes, let's reward them, let's recognize them, not just like, oh, you didn't follow the procedure, but well done for following the procedure. This is the way it should be, and do it in front of everyone. So it is definitely something that you see how valuable it is and recognized.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because if you listen to any books, like Atomic Habits is a great one. He talks about our habit system and how we're all programmed. And if we want to start a new habit, we need some sort of cue and then we need some sort of reward after we do that habit to make it stick. So I think it's the same with core values. How do we make this a part of who we are and show up every single day with this programming of the subconscious mind of, who are we going to be? And this becomes just natural after we reward and we shout it out and we recognize this behavior. Then we want to do more of it.
Of course, you always want to do more of something that is good. And I mean, if you are a person that wants to help others, for sure. Now, Briana, you also mentioned that you're a co-founder of the finish line strategies. So you specialize in also helping companies transition, or what does it mean? What does the finish line look like, right? I mean, first of all, determine what the line look like, and then how can we help you get there? So
Yeah.
what do you think are the most important parts of a company? Like, what needs to be there in order to actually reach the finish line?
Yes, that's a great question. I think number one is your why. Because I think number one, most business owners have been with their business for 20, 30 years. To leave that, you're creating a new identity. So you need to be crystal clear on why you're doing it. Maybe it's for retirement. Maybe it's for, I want to spend more time with my family. But having that clarity on the why, number one. Number two, what do you want from that? Do you want to just put the keys down on the table and be able to exit the business? Or do you want to hang out for 90 days? Do you want to hang out for a year? Again, getting really, really clear on what that next era is going to look like for you.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You have the why, but also why do you want to sell the business, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's very important. So you have that why. And then what are other things that you have to put in order in the business in order to be able to maximize the profits out of the business?
Yeah, so that's what Finish Line is there for. So basically, we have a system that does the due diligence. We're going to walk through your financials. We're going to walk through your processes. We're going to walk through, what do you have for your technology? What do you have for your marketing mix? What does sales look like? What's our processes there, right? So everything always comes back to processes, as you know it. And to really go through that due diligence, it's really dependent on the contractor. What does that business owner actually have documented? And what do they have readily accessible? Because some people have things living in their file cabinets. They're not digital and they have to really do some digging. So due diligence for them could take a year. Where
Right.
if somebody's organized and systemized, could take a couple of months.
Yeah, I know that's a key. That's definitely key. You have to have it all in place.
Mm.
And when do you think businesses should come to you for the finish line? Or should they come to you first for the consulting and then they will be ready for the finish line? I mean, what's the sequence here?
Yeah, so the sequence, actually, I like to keep them separate from altruistic and finish line. So finish line, we actually offer a board of advisors. And the board of advisors is some of the most brilliant people that I know. We have Brian Gottlieb, who sits in on the board of advisors, along with Michael Hoy, who's been CEO and now is chairman of Great Day Home Improvements, #2 in the nation. Following that, we have Rob Macklin coming in to look at all that capitalization and ownership. And in addition to that, he's going to really make sure the deal, you're going to get the maximum amount. And he's going to take care of all the legal work for us. In addition to that, we have Todd Reese, who is just a ninja when it comes to the finances and your financials. So he's going to dive in and really be able to tell you anything to get it to a better place. So, and then there's myself. And I'm going to talk to you all about that why and the marketing and your tech stack and really look at all of that and how do we maximize and optimize everything in the organization. So what we recommend is, if you're thinking in the next 5 years, what is it going to look like to sell? We recommend that you start with us as a board of advisors so that we can start to have those conversations, normalize those conversations. Think about your team. What does this look like for your team? What does this look like for you? And where are we currently at? And I think so often we see so many in the home improvement industry on a cash-based accounting when they need to be on accrual-based accounting and they need to be GAAP compliant. And a lot of buyers want to see a couple years of financials. So we recommend 5 years before, kind of start with us. We'll walk you through, we're going to teach you. Nobody goes to college to learn all of this, right? So we really are the advisors that are able to guide you through this path. So we like to say 3 to 5 years, reach out. We'll definitely work with you as a board of advisors. And then also for the companies that are like, hey, I want to sell in the next 2 years or even the next year if I can. We can work with you as well. But through that, usually due diligence is going to take you around 6 months. So we want to be a partner and a guide through that. So we also sit as your board of advisors there as well. And we're going to give you all the resources that you need to make this huge shift in your life.
Absolutely. So Briana, you work with many companies.
Yeah.
Some of them are systematized, some of them are not. What have you seen in terms of like, what's the importance of having well-documented processes and procedures for the ability to scale and the success of the company?
Yes. Oh my gosh. The most important piece, guys, like so important. And here's why. When you look at a business owner and they told you 1 or 2 times how to do something, okay, they leave and in their mind they're like, oh, they got them, they're trained, they're ready to go, and they're going to move forward. Okay, well, there's a lot of room for error there because none of us are perfect. We're all human beings. We need repetition. We all learn differently. And then on the flip side, if I'm a new employee coming into a company and somebody showed me something 2 times, there's a million things to learn. So how do I learn all of these things? And how do I know what my performance should be? And how do I get there? Right? Again, no one goes to college for home improvement. So we need to get really, really good in this industry at building learning organizations. And a lot of that comes back to, if it's not documented, it doesn't exist. So knowing if it's not documented, don't expect it to get done that way, because the way that you think it's getting done is going to be very different than the person actually doing it.
That is very correct. That's absolutely true. And so when you're saying we need to create training organizations, what do you mean by that?
When I say that we're building learning,
that we need to build that. So what do you mean?
So to me, it all comes back to the mindset. Again, it's being in an organization where we're constantly normalizing learning. We're in a growth mindset. No one wants to be around somebody that knows everything or thinks they know everything, at least. None of us do. We're always in that state of constantly wanting to learn. And I just recently read this article from the Harvard Business Review, and it actually went over the 5 core energies of being a leader in the state of flow. And one of them was being in a growth mindset, always being open to learn. The first one was actually purpose, being committed to a noble cause. The second one was wisdom, being calm and receptive to what is actually the truth. And that third one was growth. The fourth was loving connection. So connection to me is the energy that exists between two when they feel seen, heard, and valued, and they can give and receive without judgment. Having that safe space is so important to have a learning organization, because we need to be able to say things that aren't always right or learn and grow. And that fifth one is self-realization. So as a leader, I need to be self-conscious. And I need to be self-aware and recognize that no matter the chaos, there's always going to be chaos. And you hear so many people in this industry talk about the industry as like whack-a-mole. I think it came from Brian Gottlieb originally, but whack-a-mole, it's like there's always constant chaos, but how do you stay centered and in a joyful spirit through that chaos? And so to me, those are the 5 key areas where leaders really can say, hey, where can I get a little stronger? And building that learning organization is key. If I'm constantly in a culture where every day I'm learning something new, it's exciting. It becomes my normal. There's 2 reasons that I see a lot of people leave companies. Number 1 is the culture, and number 2 is they're not feeling challenged anymore. They're not
Really
learning.
interesting. It's not the money. It's really not.
Right. And to me, that's just like such an eye opener. Like, how do we grow more into learning organizations?
Yes, that's definitely a great definition and a great explanation of what a learning organization is. It's an organization that, first of all, trains their employees so they
Yeah.
know what they need to be doing. And also, they provide a challenge that is needed in order for the employees to feel challenged and want to grow, and also provides the employees with continual education constantly in order to grow. So I was just thinking about, in terms of, I like to look at everything as a process. You've got to have a system and a process for training your employees, for providing them the challenge, and for providing them opportunities for growth.
Yes, 110%. I mean, even as a new employee comes on, what does that system look like? What's your onboarding look like? Even after the onboarding, what's the training look like? Is it
Right, because
documented?
you have to be continually trained. I mean, I can see it internally in my organization. If there is a month that goes by without me getting my team on a course, like getting them to do a new course or a new thing to learn, whatever it is, whether it's AI or a management course or a new tool, but they have to continue to grow, and it also has to align to what interests them, because you don't want to enforce it either. Like, we do a survey and we find out what do you feel like you need to be better at, or what would you like to know more, and then provide it to them.
Mm. Well, going back to what you asked me earlier, what is a limiting belief? You know what I hear so often when I asked about the process? I don't
What?
have time. I don't have time for that.
I know.
I
I
don't have
just heard it from the phone call that I was on before.
time.
But here is the analogy that I gave, okay? If you're not organized, you do not have time. I mean, think about going camping. If you had everything everywhere, I thought about going camping will take you like it will take you 3 hours to pack maybe, and then you have to run to the store to get more things, and it's stressful. If you had everything put in bins or shelves, labels, you go to the garage, you take the tent, you take this, you take that, boom, 15 minutes, you are packed and out the door. You saved 2 hours and 45 minutes. But the person that was running around disorganized basically said, I have no time, and they really don't, because it takes them so long. So that is like, when you're organized and have a system in place, then you have the time, right? I mean, if you set up a system, like you mentioned, in terms of, for the year, you know what your professional development is going to be. You know that you're going to take your people to this and that conference. Maybe you can even have a book club that those are the 12 books we're going to read throughout the year. So this is when we're going to have the discussion. This is the online course I'm going to sign you on, and everything is so organized. Why won't you have the time?
Yes. Oh, I love, love, love it. I
Yeah.
mean, it is the truth. And even when it comes to us as human beings and how we show up every day, guess what? We all have our systems and our processes, some healthier than others, but we all have a system and a process. So one exercise that I do with my clients at Altruistic Advisory is I ask them to go through an exercise of what's a day in the life of you look like? How do you behave? Because 95% of what I did yesterday, I'm going to repeat today. That's just how we're programmed. So again, how can we program our systems in our organization to be subconsciously excellent, operational excellence, because we're doing it every single day and it's on repeat. So if there's one thing in the day, I'm like, oh, well, here we go. If we eliminate this bad behavior and we shift it here and we plan for it, let's own the day. Let's put in our calendar from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed, how we're going to spend our energy and time.
For sure. For sure. Well, Briana, if people want to hear more, learn more about you, they want to connect with you, how can they connect?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn at Briana Hetherington. I'm quick to respond there. And then in addition to that, you could reach out at my email, which is going to be Briana. So it's Briana at altruisticadvisories.com. Feel free to reach out for any of my businesses there. And then, we can connect and see where you're at and see how I can help support and empower you.
Fantastic. Well, Briana, it's been a pleasure having you on this podcast. What a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you allowing me to be on here with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.